Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, you do know this is first class, don't you? Customer demands service after kitchen is closed. My elderly dad, who I have been caretaking for, refuses to pay me the proper amount. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You do know this is first class, don't you? A few years back, I went traveling in my younger years. I was looking forward to getting home, so I booked a seat in a first-class train carriage as I had just come off a 30-plus-hour flight and I was exhausted. When I got on the train home and found my seat, a man, who was maybe in his 60s, turned around and asked me, "You do know this is the first-class carriage, don't you?" Granted, I did look and smell awful after not having had a shower for 35 hours. I responded, "Yes, I'm fully aware because I booked a seat in here." He gave me a snooty look and just grunted at me. After resuming my seat, he then had the gall to ask me to stow his bag at the racks at the top like I was his slave or something. Reluctantly, I did it. I was young. Now I'm older, I am still fuming about this now, and I would have told him where to go. Oh, and the whole train journey, he was on his phone talking about party conferences, so I assume he was a politician, which literally explains everything. I had to get this off my chest. Cheeky me would have had the gall to be astonished. "No. You don't say. My goodness me. What does this mean? Whatever shall we do?" And more in that vein, if he hasn't hastily looked away from my shocked countenance. Then just plop down in my seat with a huge sigh and say, "I don't care, really, do you?" Then the rest is up to him. One day I may get the chance to act on this. I wait. This is the way. Get him all riled up too and say shh. I don't want them to find me and confiscate my drugs. Not the cops, some Italians I beat when they were looking the other way. "You like Coke?" Order a Coke from the attendant. Ah yes, the trick here is to explain to them really slowly that this is first class and then ask if they need special assistance to get to the economy section. Added points for calling the stewardess over and explaining to her that the man is mentally handicapped and doesn't know that this is first class. The second option is to say it was first class until they arrived with the manners of a chimp and now you're not so sure. I'm always hoping for someone to ask, "Do you know who I am?" Then I can announce to whole surrounding area, this person doesn't know who he is. Could someone please help them? My husband and I had the same thing happen on the Zurich to Munich train. Tired, jet-lagged, we'd landed in Paris from Keflavik the prior afternoon and had the early morning train to Zurich. My response to the snotty Swiss woman who confronted us was a cheerful, "I know, and I'm so happy you can afford the ticket. Is it your first time?" She didn't have much to say after that. Customer demands service after kitchen is closed. I used to work as a host at a sushi bar. On some days, especially the weekends, I would work the evening shift, which would usually last till around midnight. I was in charge of seating customers, answering phone calls, and handling takeout and such. While the restaurant itself would be open till midnight, there was a rule that we wouldn't accept any new orders after 11:45 so that the chefs would have enough time to put everything away and go home on time. One night, it was 10 minutes till closing, and a couple walked in and asked to be seated. I explained to them that we had stopped taking new orders at this time and that I wouldn't be able to seat them. They begged me to make an exception, saying that they had been driving a really long way. I went ahead and asked my manager if there was anything we could serve them, but he said it wouldn't be possible. I went back and informed them, and the man proceeded to ask me if they could at least have a couple beers. I asked the manager about it and he said he was fine with that. I told the customers and the man replied by saying, "Really? We can get a couple beers, but we can't order food?" I was really pissed off. We went ahead and compromised only for them to be rude about it. Also, it should have been obvious why that was the case. Ordering food would require the whole kitchen staff to set everything up again, and staying later than their shift, while serving them beer only requires someone pulling a lever. The audacity of some people. Really? We can get a couple beers, but we can't order food? Not anymore. Now you can't have either. Have a good night. I would have taken their order at that point. Done my cleaning and such, gotten cash up front for drinks. And then when their order doesn't come out, explain the kitchen was closed, and they have to wait until tomorrow at 4 p.m. for their food to be made. And then had them wait outside. My elderly dad, who I have been caretaking for, refuses to pay me the proper amount. I've done other posts on here about my dad and my sister. Both have levels of narcissism, which has been very difficult for me. My mom passed away nearly 3 years ago, which is difficult every day as she was the person I was closest with in my family and very similar to me. About 8 months ago, I started essentially full-time helping my dad as his health problems worsened and his state and age worsened. He has had mobility problems and walks with a cane/walker. He also has a heart failure to some degree and kidney disease to some degree. He was in the hospital earlier in the year several different times, and pretty much since that happened I essentially gave up my apartment at the time and came to help him. For me it was always going to be temporary, never a permanent long-term situation. However, I have been here almost a year and have full-time been helping him. I do the meals, grocery shopping, upkeep of the house, bringing him to medical appointments, doing the laundry and the dishwasher, pretty much everything, including clearing his dishes in general so he is comfortable. One of the biggest levels of narcissism he has is control of finances. He likes to feel needed. He has given me $500/month each month that I've been here. If you were to hire a caretaker, they would charge that probably per week. I have let it slide for a long time, but it has bothered me. Several months ago, I brought it to his attention and told him I'm not comfortable with that amount anymore, and that I've basically given up my life and then I'm there looking after him and doing everything, and he dismissed it at the time. About a week ago, we got into an argument because I basically told him I am planning to leave this fall. I could tell he was trying to act like his ego wasn't hurt and he was fine with it and wanted me to leave, although he obviously wants me to continue helping him at the small rate I am. When this happened, he said some pretty sick things to me. He basically said he wished I, and my sister, was never born and I was the biggest regret of his life. Obviously, these are very sick things to say. After this happened, I stopped helping him altogether. He was able to start making himself a sandwich for dinner and doing basic meal prep, and I haven't lifted a finger. Each day he has tried to talk to me about it, even yesterday offering me $1 to go out and get him dinner. I told him no, and then I have my terms which he hasn't agreed to, and of course his ego got hurt again and so he went out himself and got himself food. Today I had a moment where I caved emotionally. I got angry at the fact that he doesn't seem to be budging and can't simply treat me with respect. I told him that it's pretty amazing he would rather be stubborn than actually say he needs me for help and that he's going to compensate me properly and treat me properly. Whenever I have brought up compensation, he always says that everybody he knows has their children just help them and don't care about money. I, 32F, have sacrificed a lot to be here helping him. He seems to not care about that because he always acts like I'm lucky to be here, not the other way around. At this point, it's been probably 5 or 6 days and I haven't done any sort of meal prep, I haven't done any shopping, haven't lifted a finger. I have been looking for an apartment, a new one rather, for several weeks at this point. I went to see one and I'm trying to continue looking so that I can leave this situation. In the interim, it's hard that I am financially dependent on him because he uses things like this and now is essentially not giving me money that feels owed to me with everything I have done. I have done the research, and the average caretaker receives between $1,500 to $2,500 a month. I would even be willing to flex and do $1,000 a month in the interim while I am still here. He has the finances and simply doesn't want to do it out of principle and control. You need a job outside also, so you can build up enough money to get out. Even a part-time job. I took care of my mom. I was contacted by APS and told I was earning less than minimum wage, which is illegal. She provided for me, but I was there 24/7. That was over 10 years ago. I gave myself $750 a month. You need to reach out to caregiver websites/resources. Get a job that actually pays. Dad can live on sandwiches until he realizes all that you did do for him. At the end of my grandma's ability to live in her house alone, she paid a nurse/CNA to stay with her. It was way more than $500. You have dropped a good portion of your life and ability to earn to help him. $500 is cheap. Tell him to speak to your sibling or hire a housekeeper. Find out what public, government, insurance, etc. services are available to him and leave. Be firm. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.